Should we end the movie podcast and start the face podcast?
It's like, you guys started this. I came in and people were screaming about Scooby-Doo and vampires. I have no idea.
Do you know why this happened? I joined the Discord. There was no one in here apart from Andrew. I joined and went bam because I was exactly on 3 p.m. perfectly on time. And he went bam, and then he started talking about Bam Bam. And then it all just went off from there on Flintstones Kids and all that.
I didn't know why you did the BAM. And then I thought I was dropping some great trivia with Marty O'Donnell and Flintstones Kids. And then it turned into this broader conversation about vitamins and television.
Do you remember the song that Pebbles and Bam Bam sang that was like their song?
I didn't remember Flintstones Kids, so no.
Okay. Well, this was in the original Flintstones.
We have to stop talking.
So let the sun shine in and chase away your blues, 'cause smilers never lose and frowners never win, so let the sun... You ever heard that song? That's a fucking awesome song.
No, I don't think I have. I'll check it out.
The time you try to learn to let the sun shine in.
What if you got punched in the head so hard you had muscle failure and you were in a constant state of frown? Does that mean you're just a loser and you shouldn't bother doing anything for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Is this a Flintstones thing?
You said the losers never, was it? Frowners? Something?
Smilers never lose and frowners never win.
I got lost in the rhythm. I wasn't picking up on the words.
All right.
Remember Wacky Races?
Lost in the Rhythm should be the name of our next podcast.
No, Wacky Races was really good.
I want to know about burgers, Andrew. I want to know about hamburgers.
Yeah, we can get the burgers. Wacky Races was a phenomenal show.
Eric, this is what happens when we get here before you. I'm going to blame you entirely for this.
Yeah, Eric is in a weird spot too, because I did something that might be illegal that I deeply tied him to, and I was going to tell him about it before we went, but there's no time for that. So we'll just find that out later.
Well, everyone, welcome to Face, the podcast where we get together every week and talk about fun pranks and what we've all been doing together. Andrew, I heard you've been doing some crazy hamburger stuff.
I'll get to it eventually. Do we need to introduce the show? Does anyone ever click on something like a podcast and not know what it is?
I don't know,
dude. I feel like the intro is necessary.
I don't know, but if that's the kind of energy and talent that Eric brings to an intro, I think he should do it every week. I think he should be the official announcer of
If it's mandatory, I would agree with that statement.
Because that was a professional at the top of his game, rolling up, fully prepared, and putting on a clinic. That was good.
Thank you very much.
You got the job.
Oh, great. I don't want it.
Well, sleep on it.
Is the intro necessary, Eric?
Yes.
Why, though?
Yes.
Why is it necessary?
Because you have to think about it like that. I was actually, you know what? I can relate it to something that I was doing today.
Right.
I submitted this show to the Streamies.
Oh, no.
You didn't have to laugh at that part, but all right.
That's funny.
So, I submitted this show to the Streamies. And what I had to do was find an exemplary, episode and then also a standout highlight. And what I ended up doing was clicking through a bunch of the episodes where they just start with nonsense. And I kept thinking, if I was a person and I found this show or somebody recommended it to me and I listened to the 6th episode and it was this, I would just go, what's happening?
I agree with you.
But
the problem with trying to get us to do the intro 6 minutes into the podcast is that it doesn't throw the intro back through time to the beginning of the recording.
That's right. But maybe people stick around and then they go, maybe this show is like this sometimes, but they still do the intro and I'll know what this show is.
In that case, I recommend you be here on time next week, Eric.
Oh my God.
So that we don't get lost in ourselves before.
When you say know what the show is, do you mean literally the name of the show?
No, just what is the, somebody might recommend this, like, I really like this Face podcast. It's really funny. You have to check it out. And that might be the end of the recommendation. And then they come in and then it's you going, wacky races.
You know what this is?
It's a great show.
You know what it is? I just realized Eric is super fucking excited about just getting the gig as the announcer, and Andrew immediately tries to take that job away from him.
Andrew,
and Eric's scrambling.
No,
He's scrambling not to lose the thing he just got that he worked so hard for. I fucking applaud you, Eric. I'm on your side. We need an intro every week, and you're right. It has to be you.
You hate people that are early?
Yeah, people always like, I was here early. That's not better than being on time.
Hold on, I gotta start recording.
hang on. Wait,
What?
Are you serious?
What?
You think that being on time is better than being early?
Yes. Yeah.
And you think being early is worse than being late?
No. Being late is the worst. Then being early is it's fine, but not ideal. Being bang on time, that's perfection.
But why? What do you have against being early? Because you sounded like vociferously against it for a second there.
Well, it's just like people are sort of, if you're in here at 2:57,
Yeah.
you sort of think that you got some time. Like Eric thought he had some time.
Right, that's based on every other episode. That's based on every other episode we've ever done where you're here on the dot at 3.
No, it's like when you make plans with someone, you plan to meet them somewhere, and I'm on track to get there exactly at 2 or whatever. They text me at 1:54, like, "Hey, I'm here." Now I'm feeling stressed.
Why are you feeling stressed?
Because now they're waiting on their own, and I'm thinking like, man, I should have left earlier.
Why? But that's of their accord.
Yeah, this is insane.
Yeah, that's not on you.
Okay,
that 6 minutes isn't. It's not on you. It's not incumbent upon you.
They did that to themselves.
Okay, well, what if they were meeting at your place? Hey, come to mine at noon. They're there at 11:52, and I'm like, oh damn, I'm barely dressed.
Wait,
You're
No,
not
I think
dressed
that's
at
totally
11:52?
Yeah, that's totally
What?
fine.
I would say within like 15 minutes early.
15 minutes early,
Dude.
No, if you're meeting at my place, be there at the time. Like, don't be there early because I'm not ready. I've budgeted for all of those minutes to get my shit together. If you're here, then I'm rushing. My hair's wet. I'm putting on a t-shirt. It's gonna get wet. My chest hair's seeping into all the fabric.
Okay, but you're making this all about you. What if it's just like for instance, for me, and I'll recognize that I am quite probably institutionalized from my 5 years of service in the United States military, where if you were on time, you were late. In the Army, you get in trouble for being on time. You have to be everywhere 15 minutes early because that's preparation, right? So even to this day, even though, I got out of the Army at 23, here I am 45, I still get places early. If I get to your house, Gav, and you've got wet chest hair or whatever because you took a shower, because you budgeted your time in such a way that you get ready the second I'm supposed to arrive. Like all things in the universe converge in that one moment in time, which is, I got to say, impressive from a micromanaging standpoint, and more power to you. But I would prefer to leave early, get there early, and then sit in my car and listen to a podcast or the news for 5 minutes just so I don't have the stress of worrying about getting to your place late. And I don't expect you to open the door early. I'm happy just to sit in my car and count the minutes until the agreed upon time.
I can see that. My issue comes mainly from keeping people waiting. I never want to be late. I want to be on time. But if someone else is early, then I feel like I'm keeping them waiting. And that's
Then
like
why don't you go earlier? Why are you always trying to hit the dot? If you're worried about people being early, why don't you just start showing up to things early and then they're never waiting?
Because a lot of the time, there's not enough time to be early if you're coming straight off other stuff. If you're back-to-backing, your appointments.
No, I'm not saying within a work context. I'm saying like if you're gonna meet somebody for lunch, why don't you just be early instead of being worried about them being early than you?
Now then you see you're dealing with people who are late. You don't know what other people are going to do. For example, some people at this company, if you say, meet me at 8, I'll show up exactly at 8. They might show up at 8:40. And then if I was 20 minutes early, I would have been waiting an hour.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
You said some people like you mean certain people. Would you like to tell us who those people are? It's okay. You're in a safe place.
Should we speak ill of those who don't work with us anymore?
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Ezra Cooperstein would often show up almost a full hour late to the point where I was like, did we go to dinner? Did we have dinner, Ezra? Or was I sat here completely on my own with people gawping at me? Wondering if I got stood up.
Dude, I one time had dinner with that man in San Francisco at 7 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, he still hadn't shown up. And he texts, running a bit late. At 9 o'clock, he rolls in after literally I've been sitting at a sushi restaurant for 2 hours with a group of people, but it wasn't just me. But he walks in at 9 o'clock. He looks at me and he goes, "We said 9 o'clock, right?" And then he just smiled at me. And I went, "You're the boss. I guess we said 9." That was it.
That's insanity. 2 hours?
Well, busy people.
I had a great time working with Ezra. I did not have a great time doing social events with him outside of a work environment.
It's funny to me that I did not think it was going to be Ezra. I thought you were going to complain about, like, I don't know, Jeremy or Barbara or Blaine or somebody. No. You went high up.
I went right to the top.
You went to the sea level. All right.
The problem in that context, though, is when you're doing a group thing. Like, one-on-one, you can account for that, at least. But if there are multiple people, then you are then obligated to show up at the time. The minute it becomes like a group dinner, you're fucked. One-on-one, though, you can adjust for that. If he's always an hour late, that's easy to deal with. Just always be late.
Yeah, you have to waste your own time learning that about people.
No, that's true. It's a good point.
God, I gotta say, the weirdest thing about this to me is, and I can feel it happening, and I don't know why, but for now, for something about this conversation, for the rest of my life now, I'm gonna think that every time I'm to meet Gavin somewhere, yes. He is 1 second out of the shower. Like I know it's not true. I know it's not true. But now, for the rest of my mind, for something just cemented, two pieces of brain just got super glued together. That now I think that Gavin takes a shower before every appointment or meeting he has.
I'll be honest. If I leave the house, usually the last thing I'll do before leaving is have a shower.
That's fair.
Well, to like once, right? Like if you leave in the morning and then leave in the evening, you're not doubling up with showers.
No.
So one shower. Okay, that's fine.
Just one. I'll just time it to the point where it's like, if you have to interact with me, I'll be clean.
What's fascinating to me about this is if you invited me to go to your house, Gavin, I absolutely would be there 10 minutes early, and I would have it wouldn't have even crossed my mind that would be in any way an inconvenience to you. This has completely changed my perception.
I'll tell you the secret. I'm always, okay, aside from like when I'm late from like a recording, like two recordings like coming back to back, I'll be like late to the podcast or whatever. Aside from that, I'm usually pretty bang on time. And the way I do that is that I'll get somewhere, 5 to 10 minutes early and just like hide around the corner.
This is insane. This is insane.
Until like 2:59, and then I'll just stroll around as if I'm completely on time. Just that way, I've not put any pressure on anyone else, and I'm not late in the slightest. Well, how is that insane, Eric?
You just said what? You're the person that you said that you didn't want to do that to someone else, but you're happily the person that is doing that.
It's the
crazy.
Most tone-deaf thing I've ever heard. You came out and literally started this off with saying, "This is what I hate about people when they do this," and I said, "Oh, I do this opposite thing this way," and you go, "Yeah, I hate that. Also, I do that exact same thing, apparently."
Right, no, but I'm not visible. I'm not present. You don't know that I'm there waiting. I will just...
You don't know that I'm not there. I don't wear a beacon. I don't, like, roll up with a Jeff signal and fucking flash it like Commissioner Gordon needs help.
Aren't you making you're now being late? Like, what if the person's there and you're waiting to be on time? You're, in a sense, you're late.
No, like,
because you can already be with them.
No, if we're meeting at a restaurant or something, or like I'm meeting at their place, I'll be there on time. But if they're like ready to go, then I'll come out early. But I will never
so
make.
So you scope it out? Like, what is the process? What do you mean you'll be like? Will you be there 5? You'll see if they're there, and then if they're not, you'll walk away. What are the rules?
I just the rules are, I don't want to be visibly early to make people freak out and hurry up, and I don't want to be late. That's the only way to do it. If you could think of a better way to always be, on time to the minute. No, because then I'm sort of stood outside their front door while they're in my mind.
Inconvenience to anyone. What are you
in my
talking
mind,
about?
they've just hopped out of the shower. Hey, welcome to Face episode 18. How's it going, everyone?
I can't. I would die if I were you. There's like 50 rules for just showing up to a thing.
You're gonna worry yourself to an early grave like this, buddy. You can't.
He doesn't even seem worried, which just makes it weird. It's not even like an anxiety thing to him.
Being late is disrespectful. Being early is inconvenient. There's only one
But
way
there's a
to
line.
be, and that is on time.
No, there's
Oh
a
my
line in the
God.
sand. It's like when you open a door for someone and you hold it, there's like, you have to do a measurement of how close they are to you to the door. If they're too far away, it becomes an inconvenience. There has to
Sure.
be a measurement. There's a line between early and not too early.
Yeah, he's right.
Maybe I'm just I just haven't figured out the correct timings yet.
If you get somewhere a little early and you need to hide, do you bring disguises?
No,
Do you ever roll with like a trench coat and a hat just
No,
in
usually,
case
like-
they spot you?
No, usually just like if there's a place like a parking place, I'll just go over there for a bit, as if I've just parked a car that I don't know how to drive, and I'm just walking up.
What?
You made me all self-conscious about this. I thought this was like a fine thing. The only person getting hurt is myself. I didn't think it was that big a deal.
It's just very weird. I mean, no one is getting hurt but you. It's just very bizarre.
It's just your brain is hurt in a way, and it just shows me every once in a while, and I get surprised by it. I don't know what, like, if you fell or like how something got twisted. And do you remember when you were a kid and you fell and smacked your like you fell off the front step and smacked your nose,
Yeah.
and it's been like it I guess it crooked it.
Yeah, that wasn't as bad as when I fell on the back of my head and went blind.
Oh,
but-
when you fell in the back, maybe that was it. When you fell in the
Yeah.
back of your head and you went blind. Do you think something also got crossed that day that makes you weird?
I
about
think about
weird
that
stuff.
probably weekly. Like,
Yeah.
was that one event like everything?
Sure.
Well, if I could go back and undo that event, where would I be now?
Like not to talk about other or to promote other podcasts and radio shows, obviously. But Gavin, you and Andrew, I think you listened for a while too. We're all familiar with Sour Shoes, who's a guy who calls into the Howard Stern show, and he has a photographic memory of every song ever made or that he's ever heard, and he can play it on a keyboard from start to finish, having only heard it once. It's like a superhuman ability. But he also wears a diaper and lives with his parents because he's got the mind of a child and he's in his 40s or 30s. However, he was a normal dude until he was a baseball player in high school and he got hit in the fucking head with a baseball and he came out the other end, that guy.
Dude, the head is important. You got to look after your old bonds.
Yeah, you like he now has the ability to remember every song ever made, but he shits in a diaper. So it's like, I wonder.
Sounds like a fair trade.
Yeah, I totally agree, by the way. I would take the talent for the pooping. But I just wonder, like, how different would your life be if you had not had those two falls or whatever the fall is or the catastrophe that happened to you that broke you in the way that you're broken?
We'll never know. It's a shame. Hey, who are you?
I'm Jeff. I was going to say, actually, I thought this was episode 16, and then I looked and it's not. You said it's 18. I've now realized, much like I'll never think of you not showering before every appointment, I think every episode of this Face is 16 for some reason.
Yeah, I think did you say last week you named it 15? I think your naming scheme is your local naming scheme is screwing you a little bit.
I just am going to name them all 16 now, I think. We start recording at 4. Andrew said let's record at 3:50 as a funny joke. I got here at 3:40. That's what you do. Here's what's fucking great about this. We're all here 10 minutes before we're supposed to be because we all thought the same thing. I was so convinced that you were going to be here and go, I thought you were 10 minutes early to everything. When I said get here 10 minutes early, that means it was on time. So if you're really 10 minutes early to everything, you would have been 10 minutes early to the 10 minutes early. So I just fucking got here 30 minutes early to be safe.
Well, I'm already rolling. We don't have to start, but I've already begun. So
Yeah, I'm rolling too.
we just finished Face Jam, so I'm coming down off a food coma.
What did you guys eat today?
Wendy's has the pretzel pub bacon cheeseburger and pretzel pub chicken sandwich, and it is a lot. It's a lot of food, and I have like a headache. I don't feel very good. We also got Frosty-chinos.
What's a frosty? Is that like a frosty cappuccino?
Like they put coffee and a Frosty in one cup, and then you drink it because you're a pig human.
Now, yeah. Now, I don't want to give the impression that I don't listen to Face Jam.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Obviously, I do religiously.
Right, of course, yeah.
But for people who may be listening to Face, who may not listen to our podcast, Face Jam, and why would you? Andrew and I are not in it. But assuming that we're even starting this podcast, do you guys keep a record of your caloric intake per episode?
No, I think that would make us all feel like worse than we already feel. Like there's no benefit to it.
I think it'd be an interesting stat to keep.
Well, the audience could do that if they really wanted.
Because I imagine everything you just described to me, it sounded like 3,500 calories. Can I go off on a tangent, if y'all don't mind?
Please.
Go ahead.
So this all just happened. As I was getting here 30 minutes early to get here 10 minutes early, I was thinking about that bit they do in Curb Your Enthusiasm where Richard Lewis and Larry always go out to lunch and Richard gets there early. He'll get there to the restaurant like an hour or 2 hours early. And I can't remember if it's to pay the bill or if it's to get the better table, like the better seat at the table. And it might be both at different seasons. But it got me thinking about Richard Lewis. And the first thing I think about when I think about Richard Lewis is how he looks kind of like a human skeleton. And I'm not trying to be rude or mean to Richard Lewis at all. It's just like his face is like, it's just like, it's bony in a weird way. And that got me thinking about how he and Jamie Lee Curtis used to be in a sitcom together that I fucking loved when I was a kid called Anything But Love. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that show or know what I'm talking about.
No clue.
Nope.
Okay. It was on for like 3 or 4 seasons. It was very much like Mad About You. They were like on again, off again, like a romantic thing.
Bam.
I found this. Here's a photo of them. I'm going to put it up in the Slack. Here's a photo of them from the show. The first thing you'll notice is that because it was the early 90s, I think it was like 89 to 93 or something, they have the exact same hairstyle, which is fucking hilarious.
Is this the podcast?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, hey, Gavin.
Why'd you start without me? I'm not late.
No, Jeff was there. I showed up 10 minutes early, as I usually do, and we figured we'd start.
This is what I'm talking about with the early thing. Now I'm gonna start feeling pressure not to arrive at like 3:50.
It really turned into a whole thing.
Bang on time, and I'm late.
No, you're not late at all.
I am late. You've already started.
No, we were just here, so we started. But you're not late. You're on time.
Man.
You're actually early. Technically, weren't you like 2 minutes early?
I was like maybe 90 seconds early. Yeah, which is on time.
Yeah. No, you were totally fine.
Not today, it wasn't.
No. What was funny, Gavin, is this kind of backfired in its own way. Is I said over the weekend to Jeff and Eric, we should show up 10 minutes early and start the show 10 minutes early because of the whole conversation last week. Jeff showed up 20 or 30 minutes early because he thought that it was going to be a bit where he was then going to be late to the 10 minutes early version of the show. And I came into Jeff and Eric talking, and I also thought that I had then screwed myself and they had started before I got there. Because I was 10 minutes early.
When did this actually start?
20 or 30 minutes ago.
We're 20 minutes in.
To the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, damn. Why am I even? Should I even be on it?
No, absolutely.
I've already missed half of it.
Come on in.
No, we're talking about Richard Lewis.
Gavin's here 1 minute early. That's a little inconvenient of him.
Pretty inconvenient.
Little inconsiderate.
Who's taped to the tot?
It was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing.
You missed it. You had to be there.
Okay. I have... Oh, God, it's close. It's 2:59. This is Jeff, and I have decided as an experiment to be late to today's podcast. I'm never late. It was a whole thing. We talked about how I like to be 15 minutes early, but I decided to see how the other half lives. And so I'm going to see if I can stomach being 1 minute late. It's driving me nuts already. All I have to do is just click one button. Just one button to come in. But I need... Oh, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. They're getting mad. I can see they're talking. They're upset. They're all in the... Oh, why is 1 minute so long? I wish I had a timer. It's quite hard to allow yourself to be late when you could walk through the door. If I join right now, I'm still technically on time. I don't know how you people do this. I don't know how you perennially late people. God, I used to manage a call center before this career, and, it was a blessing when an employee would show up on time. Early was unheard of. 99.9% of the time, everybody was 10 minutes late. They seem so comfortable with it. I'm nervously rubbing my leg because I just want to join the stupid room. 301, I'm joining.
I'm trying to
hey, what's up? I'm late. Ask me why.
Okay, why are you late?
I wanted to see how the other half lived. Yeah. I logged in at 2:59. I hit record, and I just talked through it while I tried desperately not to join. I don't know how people can do it.
Wait. So you're saying that you're late to this recording.
Yes.
However, Jeff, in your way of describing being late to this recording, you have just explained that, in fact, you logged on early and started recording early and started recording by yourself early, but then showed up late.
You son of a bitch. I was early to my being late, Frank.
So
God damn it.
Even to being late, you were early.
God, you're right. You're fucking right. I just wanted to talk through the psychosis of it because I was sitting here and I was driving me nuts and I was just begging it to be 3:01 so I could just fucking join because I hate it. I hate it at my core being late. Then I was early. Oh, you're right. Fuck.
Wait, am I late now? Are we doing the episode now? Am I late because you started? How much of yours are you using?
Are you not recording?
I'm recording now, but I didn't record when you joined. I didn't expect him to yell about being late early.
I was recording already. I'm a good boy.
I don't even know. Fuck. I don't know what to do with that.
Did you do the intro?
Yeah, did you do the intro in it?
No, I don't do intros anymore. Andrew turned me off to them.
I will say I've been thinking about the intro, and I think it probably does make sense.
God damn it, Andrew!
I've reconsidered the intro because we never really say each other's names on the show, so I don't know how else.
So I don't understand. So when I say all this stuff and it's weeks ago, you disagree. But then it just takes you like a month and a half to come around, or what is it?
Yeah, I think about it. I process it.
For a month and a half?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot going on. I was thinking about it, and you're right. We don't really say our names. I think the intro sucks in terms of a flow of a show. I don't think we need it in terms of, I don't know, it just feels weird to me.
What feels weird? You just described all the reasons for needing it, and I don't understand because it's not for the flow of the show. It's strictly for business. I don't understand.
No, I get what you're saying. Okay, so from my point of view, it's more naturalistic to just talk, and doing an intro feels more performative, or like it has to go a certain way, and that feels weird to me. I'm not as comfortable with that as just talking. So that's where my issue with the intro was.
Yeah, but I always do it. Well, now I'm disagreeing with you after agreeing with you.
That is not true.
I'm happy to do it, and you always decry it and say, like, stop doing it. It doesn't need to be done.
Nah, I disagree. I feel like I've done a few intros early on.
Well, I tried to throw them to you to throw you a bone.
Maybe 2 or 3. Well, very kind of you. I definitely did an outro.
But we didn't do intros because you kept talking about how the intro was dumb.
Yeah, that's fair. Is that why we stopped? I just thought we all agreed.
No, nobody agreed! To my frustration, everyone just stopped doing the intro.
Well, maybe we should do the intro. This
my God.
This is how far, Jeff? How long have you been recording for?
7 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. I got in here like 20 minutes and was talking to myself nonstop. So we're both doing our own solo thing. Welcome to Face episode 21,
16.
What a fool I am! Of course, 16. I am not your host. I'm not the one who does intros. Andrew, joined by...
My name is Jeff Ramsey, and
I'm Gavin.
That actually fits really well with what we did.
You did a good job.
That's really
Oh, man. The audience will not know it because Nick is so clever with the blade, as it were. But there's some fuckery going about with the editing in this episode, I imagine.
I mean, technically, between you and I, Jeff, we would have like 30 minutes based on how early we were if we just went with our audio. We both were solo doing things. Were you just talking about you being late early, or were you doing other things?
I was talking about me being late. I was just talking about, like, what it feels like, how it was, like, eating at the pit of my stomach. I was rubbing my leg. Like, I actually realized I ripped some fucking leg hair off. I was rubbing my leg so hard.
So you were, like, sat ready to go at your station being late.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to see how the other half lives. I've been early for 20-something years.
What was it like?
I hated it. I felt gross. I felt bad. I saw them all in the voice chat, and I saw their little blinkers going, and I was like, oh, they're talking, and they're wondering where we are. Eric is slacking us. Andrew's getting mad, and I'm like, oh, man. And it just sucked. And I was every time I was watching, I was like, it's still 3:00. It's still 3:00. I could just log in right now. It was the hardest, physically difficult not to join. And then I joined 1 minute late, and Eric immediately, when I explained it, went, you're the dumbest person on earth. You were early.
Can you believe, Gavin, that I said I was pro intro and got yelled at about it? How crazy that is?
Today you did?
Today, yeah. I said we should have intros. I think the intro is important. And I expect everyone to say, oh, that's great. You finally are reasonable. And they yelled at me.
Well, it's because you've broken our spirit on the subject.
How did I break the spirit? I think it's a valid point. I've seen the other side. I've evaluated. I was reasonable.
I thought Eric had a pretty good point when he explained how you'd broken our spirit. And I don't know if we need to rehash it, but listen to the first 2 minutes of the podcast, Gavin. You'll hear it. It was very eloquent in the way that he explained the fuckery that is Andrew Panton in the intro.
I came around.
And he beat it out of me. He comes in hot and he goes like, oh, we're going to do an intro? And I was like, we don't do an intro anymore. You convinced me otherwise. And he's like, well, now I think we should.
I think it makes sense.
I think it makes sense too.
We don't say our names on the show, ever, really.
I mean, I refer to you by your name multiple times every episode, Andrew.
Do you? I guess you do. Maybe, should I reverse my position in my back that we don't need intros?
No, we're doing intros.
I'm going to start writing down how often we say each other's names, just so I can get a better grasp of this. I need the data.
You want stats after every recording?
Well, yeah, I'll do my own stats. I don't expect that of anyone else, but yeah, stats are going to be done now.
Okay.
Oh, so did we start the episode?
Yeah, no, I feel like we're well in at this point. Gavin's
All
the
right,
worst
all
thing
right.
you could possibly say. 73, I believe.
73. I was talking to Andrew a little bit before we started, Gav, before you showed up early, which was shocking.
Yeah.
By the way, let this be known. Episode 73, I think, is the first episode you've ever shown up early for.
I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's
I
true.
think it's the second.
Second episode you've ever showed up early for. Not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I feel like the 6 minutes leading up to the episode is my safe space with Andrew to talk about you.
Yeah, I think I was about 5 or 6 minutes early. I just wanted to get my tools ready.
No, I hear you.
Excited.
Oh, there's Gavin. 2 minutes early. That's weird.
Wow.
Look, it's an early day.
Oh, wait, okay. Why didn't... So we're starting this 10 minutes early because you have a hard out at 4.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just show up early? Because we're all here around that time anyway.
Yeah.
You're now 2 minutes early to being on time, which is 10 minutes early.
What's your problem with that, by the way?
You're a dude who refuses to show up early or late, and you're double early today.
You're double early today.
With a hard out, I feel like it's responsible to be double early so that we're not rushed.
There's so many goddamn rules to you showing up to things. It's so complicated. Just show up when you want to. 5-minute window before or 10-minute after.
That's exactly what I did. What are you talking about?
That's a rule. You just gave him another rule.
No, it's just like that's a general thing. Gavin's got subcategories. He's got if
you
there's a
just
hard
said-
out, then you got to be early.
You just said, what's this bullshit? You're showing up whenever you want. Hey, you should just show up whenever you want, you idiot.
There's a range, is what I'm saying. I think we all kind of live in a social
You said
range.
5 minutes. I was 2 minutes. That was within the range. What do you want from me, Andrew?
Yeah, but you go against the range, is my point. You are not a range guy. You are an on-time guy. You've been very vocal about this. We've argued about this. So I'm just saying it's kind of wild that you're here early.
I already pre-warned about the earliness today. I said it about noon.
Yeah, but you're earlier than your pre-warning of early. You're before the early.
He is bringing up a point that everybody acquiesced to your tyrannical demands to move the podcast up 10 minutes. We all relented because it's like, it's Gavin. What are you going to do? We're used to it. It's who he is. So we all say yes and move it up as we do because we're team players. And then on top of that, you then showed up earlier. It's just very out of character for you.
If
I don't
move
care
the
personally.
podcast by 10 minutes to be earlier, and I look at Discord and every single person is in there already except me, why would I wait when I've already got the...
That's what I've been saying forever. What do you mean? We're talking in general things. You will wait. You've said in the past you will wait outside of a thing before entering to be on time.
There's no hard outs. Hard outs mean we might have to cut it short.
So being earlier than expected, like surprise early, is okay in your eyes, but only if there's a hard out in play.
If you said come over at 7 and we have to stop hanging out at 8, and then you were like, so feel free to come over whenever, I'd probably come over earlier than if you just said come over at 7 and we'll hang out indefinitely.
Holy shit. There's like a whole strategy to get Gavin to show up at a certain time without saying a time. You just need to like display it in a certain way.
But here's the issue, and here's why you can't be mad. I'm never late.
No, you haven't. You haven't. That's also not true. It's rare. It's very rare, but you haven't.
I also think it's Eric says that you do have subcategories and he thinks he agrees with Andrew. I agree as well, but I just think it's weird that Andrew, who I feel like, and I'm not trying to poke a bear here or start a fight, but I feel like Andrew's the king of subcategories. I just think it's an interesting kind of hypocrisy for Andrew to call somebody else out on subcategories, even though I agree with them.
All subcategories and regulations.
Totally agree with them.
I feel like I have been very vocal and consistent, and any additional amount of thought or effort is too much. And I feel like that's on par with my complaint of Gavin. He has like rules. When I show up to a thing does not matter if there's a hard out or not.
I feel like
That's
it would have been easier for me at this point to be less considerate and just not mention the hard out and just pissed off exactly at 4 and be like, oh, I gotta go bye. Like, surely that would have been less blowback and potentially made a crappier product, especially if Andrew was futzing around with technical issues like sometimes he does.
The last time that happened was like 7 months ago, okay? And if we're doing measurements, Jeff, I still feel is in the lead. And a lot of the time I was delayed with my futzing around. It's because Nick would tell me to futz. Nick would futz me before the recording, and I'd be futzing around because of Nick.
You're the only one who's been futzed by Nick, I think.
I have been. Want to know why? Because I'm the only one here early. I'm first one here.
Hey. You can say you're the first one here all day long. I won't argue with that.
Early.
You're not the only one here early.
No, that's true. That's completely, you're right. I misspoke. What I was going to say is that I don't think you even needed to alert the 10-minute early thing, Gavin. We all would have been here. You could have just shown up.
He's right about that. We were all already guaranteed to be here. Also recording already, probably.
Yes. There's literally 0 times where you have joined the show and we've had like prep ahead of time. That doesn't exist.
Look, I apologize. I should have. I'm not gonna tell you guys anything. Sod it. I'll be here.
You know what's weird is I don't know what I want from you because I don't want you to apologize. I don't want the apology. I don't feel you need to apologize. But I don't understand how you came here 2 minutes early. It's insane to me that you did that.
Eric and Nick accept your apology, Gavin. And just like that, we're already 5 minutes into episode 77.
We blew all of the early time arguing about how early everyone was, and now we're starting at the normal time.
The Face Podcast. Can you believe it's been 77 weeks already? My name is Jeff Ramsey. With me as always, Gavin Free and Andrew Panton. They don't like each other. It's okay. I like them both.
Oh.
Where were we?
I like Andrew.
I like Gavin quite a bit. I had a realization earlier today, and it has only been confirmed further by today.
Okay.
I was thinking about it. I was laying down. I woke up this morning. I thought, you know what? This is a weird thing to wake up to.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You said you were thinking about that. You were laying down. Are you still in bed at this point, or have you started your day and then gone back to bed?
No. It was when I woke up. It was when I first woke up.
Okay.
Through the slats of the.
No, I fixed the bed. I fixed the bed, and I have actually a thing related to that to talk about today. But fixed the bed, waking up, thinking about recording, very excited. And then I thought about Gavin and that you always show up on time. I think Gavin hates pleasantries.
Yeah.
I think there's nobody that hates pleasantries more than Gavin. And I don't think you realize how much joy you're missing in your life by opting out of pleasantries in what seems to be every scenario.
Name a memorable pleasantry experience.
I literally just today I spent 15 minutes talking with Nick, maybe not 15, like 5, talking with Nick about things I never knew about him that were super interesting.
That's not pleasantries. That is
pleasantries.
Conversation.
No, it's pleasantries.
No, that's pleasantries.
Like, hey, how's it going? Oh, you go.
No, Gavin, pleasantries is before we record, me being able to say to you, how's your day going? And just having a little bit of a talk instead of you showing up and immediately recording. There's no room
I would
for
say
pleasantries.
Then the pleasantries led into a genuine conversation.
Which is what's great about pleasantries.
You're talking about a thing you don't know about.
It's true about that. Pleasantries can lead into a world of entertainment, including an inspiring conversation. That's the beauty of the pleasantry. I also experienced a wonderful conversation of pleasantries this morning, talking to Jeff Yetter and Alan and a bunch of people from work while I was waiting for an executive meeting to start. I'm laser focused with Andrew on this one.
I think you need to adopt. Like, I don't know if you had a bad pleasantry experience. I don't know where this started for you. I don't know if you've always been. You had unpleasantries.
But okay, I've known both of you for many years, and we've had many pleasantries.
No, we haven't. I haven't had a single pleasantry with you on this show.
Shit.
Not a single one.
Every
You've
time
never
we play
shown up.
Halo, there's like 5 minutes before we start playing.
No, that is insane for you to think that Halo is a time for pleasantries.
Is it not?
That's ridiculous. That's just a social outing. Pleasantries is the thing before you do the thing.
Wait, that's before we play the game.
I think Andrew's right. God, I hate to pile on, Gavin, but I gotta think Andrew's right. I would go even further, and I would say that in my experience, because I recently, I think last weekend, I caught a couple games of Halo with you guys and our friend Trevor, and I quickly was reminded that I'm incapable of having any level of conversation with either of you without it turning into a podcast or content.
Really?
Yeah,
I was say that's odd.
Within 2 minutes, I was in podcast mode. So I don't think pleasantries are possible because the second our mouths open, in my estimation, it turns into content.
Well, okay, I might be. Maybe I just don't know where the line is drawn at pleasantries. So, for example, Andrew, why don't you have some pleasantries with me right now?
I can't have pleasantries. You can't have pleasantries pleasantries are not for recording. Pleasantries are like a little, hey, how's it going? How's your day? It's a warm up.
Imagine we weren't recording.
Imagine we weren't recording?
Okay,
no.
Door creak.
You can't force pleasantries.
All right, I think that's a little extreme, Andrew. I think you can play pretend pleasantries.
No, because here's the thing.
Yes, and Andrew. Yes, and.
I disagree strongly because if we do pleasantry thing, we're going to fall right into his hand, Jeff, and it's going to be boring as fuck. And it's not going to work at all. And we're going to just feel anxious that we're eating up showtime.
Why don't we
bullshit pleasantries?
Why don't we then?
Why don't hey Gavin, I got to fucking no.
On with episode 87 of Face. I'm Gavin, that's Jeff, and you're Andrew.
That's very high energy.
Skip the pleasantries.
Next week, 10 minutes. Show up 10 minutes early. Try just try it. Evaluate.
Deliberately stay after we record every week. Jeff has to piss off the second we stop. I stay for pleasantries every week.
But nobody needs the unpleasantries.
Oh, you don't want my pleasantries at the end?
No, they're great.
I don't have to leave. I leave to get away from having pleasantries at the end.
I thought you have to frequently get Millie from stuff.
Yeah. A lot of times I do. A lot of times I'm racing to get Millie, but other times I just am done talking to you guys.
That's fair.
You know, I understand that completely.
Yeah, this is completely.
I would want to be around me for more than an hour.
No, I had to live with you off and on for a decade. I've had a lot of you.
Oh, I wasn't so bad. Surely.
He threw a stick at you. I'd say you're pretty bad to live with, based off of that information.
Dude, it was one of the great joys of my life. Was every opportunity I had to be your roommate, and I say that without hyperbole, or full of hyperbole.
A full stick's worth of hyperbole.
Jeff, you once told me you just out of nowhere said you're very easy to live with, and I thought you were taking the piss. I thought you were going to be like, here's a list of annoying shit that I do, but it was like a genuine comment. I was like, damn, wow, thanks.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Yeah, I do. I'm going to tell you something about you right now. You are easy to everything with, in my experience, and I mean that as a tremendous compliment. You are easy to travel with, you are easy to live with, you are easy to commute with, you are easy to play video games with, you are easy to have a lifelong friendship with, you are easy to do all of the one area you are not easy to blank with is schedule. You are impossible to manage. This is what I tell people
all the time. Everyone's like, oh, you know, your reputation. And I'm telling you, if I had one job, I would be I think I would genuinely be a nice person to interact with. But unfortunately, I've got a lot going on all the time.
Yes, I don't mean it in that like you're a piece of shit and you're hard to nail down. I mean that you're a busy lad and you've got a million fingers and a million pies and you're constantly in motion and it's just hard to nail you down a lot.
I'll take that. That's a nice compliment.
Yeah,
I would say that was very pleasant. That was quite a lot of pleasantries that just occurred.
No, that was not just conversation.
Still don't understand it.
Yeah. Show up 10 minutes early, you'll get it. We get it. It's like a secret door. You gotta like run through the thing in Hogwarts.
The last time, you frickin' maniac, the last time I showed up 10 minutes early, you shat on me for being early for 10 minutes.
That's true. That's my fault, and I've only further decreased your interest in pleasantries. I'll own that. I apologize. But I didn't have the perspective I have now. I realize you don't get it. There's a whole world of pleasantries you're missing. You would have loved to hear the things I heard of the pleasantries before this show.
What do we miss?
Well, it's not mine to share. It's not my information, so I'm not going to say it, but it was a great conversation. You missed out on it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Face podcast. This is the 88th iteration of this podcast. With me as always, my name's Jeff, and then with me, Gavin and Andrew. Take it away, boys.
Jeff, you sound like you're in a really good mood.
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good.
I'm disappointed. So I am.
Oh, no.
I'm disappointed in Gavin.
What?
I'm very disappointed in you.
What do you mean?
You remain unpleasant. You are just as unpleasant as you were the previous week. Zero pleasantries for Gavin.
Because I showed up at 1 o'clock and
you showed up at 1 once again. We had this whole thing. I thought you bought in. I thought you're going to be a pleasant guy going forward. Your mood would be better. Still just as unpleasant.
I'll be honest, I completely forgot about the pleasantries.
Oh, of course you did. You don't value the pleasantries. This is well established.
We have so many pleasantries outside of
That's
Discord.
not pleasantries. That doesn't count. We have zero pleasantry scenarios outside of. There's one other thing. That
Okay, I think for maybe for episode 90, I'll attend the pleasantries.
That you can't. What episode is this? Well, wait, what episode? This is 88.
88.
I thought you're doing a sneaky thing. I thought we're doing 89 and we're doing 2 today, and you're like, I'll be there before the start of the 90th one. You're already here. Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that. Pleasant Gavin, episode 90.
Why don't you give me a brief summary of today's pleasantries and what was covered and what I missed?
Okay, we were talking about arena names.
Sorry, pleasantries are over, guys.
Oh, they're done. It's, you know what? Because it's funny you mentioned pleasantries. We recorded 2 episodes last week, and I almost died of laughter in one over a thing that I don't think is necessarily all that funny, but it was funny in my head. I love that you don't even remember.
I don't know what that was.
I was talking about the tiki mugs, and it was a thing that I genuinely think is awesome and really liked, and I felt like I was just drowning trying to talk about them genuinely. And I just was like the worst. I just couldn't get out of my own head that I was just fucking bombing and tanking and just sounded terrible. And you went, oh, when I brought up that it was the anniversary.
Oh, yeah, I said, oh, wrong.
And it broke me. And it's to the point where as soon as we finished recording, I went back and I went to your audio specifically to find the O. Because
Don't perv through my audio.
And so I went back into your audio and I was like, wow, he's real quiet here at the start of it. Because you start it and you go, testing, test. And then it's just silence for like an extended time. I was curious how much time you've spent. What's the longest you have spent doing your test and then just waiting for the clock to run? Do you have a longest one? Is there one where you're like 7 minutes early and you're like, oh boy?
Probably like 6 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, 6 minutes? Is that the average or is that the longest?
Sometimes I just get rolling and then I'll like go and do something, like I'll make a coffee or I'll like maybe go and pee. And then just at 3, I'll join the Discord. But yeah, I've already been rolling for a few minutes sometimes.
That's funny.
But that was my little secret, and Nick's.
I love that the only difference between him and us is we click on Discord and then communicate with each other. He's recording just like we are. He's in the Discord looking at it. He just refuses to join us until he's contractually obligated to.
But not today. I joined for some pleasantries.
How were your pleasantries, Gav? Did you enjoy them?
I'll be honest. They sounded pretty similar to this. If I'm being completely honest. I was unaware of where the pleasantries were different to an episode or just any normal chat or any time we've played Halo. It was... I think Andrew's full of shit.
To be fair, this is the pleasant... Nobody's ever all here for pleasantries. This is a rare time where everyone showed up 10 minutes early. It's typically... Nick and I will be the first ones to hop in.
Right, so I ruined Pleasantries by completing the entire cast and crew.
Yeah, you did. And it's not your fault. It's just, if anything, if anyone's upset by this, it's me. I wish you got to experience the real Pleasantries experience, but I will no longer hold it against you. You tried.
I tried.
You definitely made an attempt. I respect it.
I will say, Gav, in to kind of bolster where you're going with that, as someone who participates in Pleasantries pretty often, as soon as I joined, Andrew was reading rap lyrics and he was doing a bit about Macho Man Randy Savage. It felt very content-y to me. Yeah. I even asked him, I was like, hey, is this content? Should we stop, or is this Pleasantries? I don't know if any of that, I don't know. I mean, I assume the Pleasantries won't make it in the episode.
No, as Andrew said, Pleasantries aren't for recording, so they won't be in.
No, I feel like most of that would go in.
What?
Well, then why were you producing the show 10 minutes early if you think it's content?
Well, you were the one that initiated it. You're like, should we go? And then everyone started recording because you're like, is this content? I was just talking about a thing. I didn't expect it to be content, but I think it became content because you brought it up as content.
I don't know. I think you presented it as content.
I said most of it. I didn't say all of it. I think some of it is in. We'll find out. I guess I won't. I don't listen to it. I'll never know.
I guess the three of us will never fucking know. It's up to Nick. Hello and welcome to the spanky dandy Old Men Can't Say Bro, Let's Not Argue About the Moon Landing podcast. My name is Jeff Ramsey. Welcome to you, the audience. Your name is whatever the fuck it is. Also with me, Andrew and Gavin. This is episode 91.
That came through my speakers for some reason.
Did it?
How else do you get it?
Spanky Danky is his name.
Spanky Danky.
So I was directionally correct. I was close. Spanky Danky.
What you get there, audience, in that intro, and also Gavin, because of course he wasn't here, that is a recap of this episode's Pleasantries. Couldn't bring you along for the Pleasantries, but wanted to give you a little nugget of what it was, because it was a wild ride for the 7 minutes I was involved, and it had already been going for a bit.
So when did the Pleasantries start with Andrew? Like 20 minutes ago?
No, well, listen, I showed up 15 minutes ago. Everybody else showed up 10 minutes, I'd say.
Okay.
I showed up maybe, they were going. When I clicked in, there was a laughter, and Nick was like, this is already off the rails.
And based on last week's Pleasantries, I decided not to attend this week's Pleasantries on the grounds that they're worthless.
You missed a lot. We heard about two old men who tried to one-up each other in a Walmart about whether they were both directly involved with either the moon landing or the covering up of the moon landing. We learned about Spanky Dandy, the hottest new rapper.
What about this, Gavin? Next time we record, whatever that is, I will not show up until 1, and you can show up 10 minutes early, and you can have the Pleasantries experience.
Why don't we just all turn up at the same time and record it all for the audience to listen to all of?
Because the Pleasantries are a great part that I hate the miss.
They really
love
are.
The Pleasantries.
Gav, you came up in the Pleasantries. We regaled your Bob Vila Go-Gurt experience.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that a bit. We discovered that the Venn diagram of people who make a Logan's Run reference and say bro is me.
We surveyed
a jam-packed 7 minutes.
I'll be honest, this week's Pleasantries sounded better than last week's.
Well, I think the problem is when you get here, we just end up starting the show, so there are no Pleasantries. It just immediately goes in. So that's why it's offering.
So what you're saying is it's physically impossible for me to attend Pleasantries if I'm the last to join.
I think the last person who joins, whoever that is, doesn't get to partake in the Pleasantries.
All right, so next week you're out.
So I'm out. I'm willing to step out for Pleasantries, and I welcome you to get in 10 minutes early.
I agree with Nick. There was less pressure on these Pleasantries this week. Last week, there's a lot of pleasantry pressure.
That's a good point. I think you just need to naturally show.
My favorite book that I've read in the last
we've already started?
72 days. What a weird
I'm all thrown off.
Why is Andrew thrown off?
He was trying to do a book club or something, and then suddenly he stopped in the middle of it.
Because nobody showed up. Typically, Eric will show up 10 minutes before, and Nick showed up like 4 minutes before. So I feel like I'm still in Pleasantries. I did not expect it to be 1
of Pleasantries.
We're only 4 minutes of Pleasantries, and we're mainly
gonna
just
throw
talking
you.
About. I'm 4 minutes off this whole show.
Yeah, he's gonna. We'll have to let it roll for another 4 minutes at the end, just so you can finish up. Hey, I gotta go get the door real fast. Be just a second.
Oh, I feel like would have been good to already end it.
Why would you just wrap up the pod? Thank you.
Well, hang on.
so
Now
much.
that Jeff's gone, that has reduced the amount of people in this to Pleasantries amount. So you could just finish your Pleasantries with Nick.
Oh, I felt like no, you don't. As somebody who's not part of Pleasantries, that's not how Pleasantries work.
I thought it works when you're not recording and there's not everyone here.
No, it's before it starts. The Pleasantries lead into the show. The purpose of the Pleasantries is that it, like, you have a conversation, you calm down, you have some laughs, and then you go into the thing. Pleasantries are great.
I'm back. Just
Unless
to let you guys know. Continue with your Pleasantries talk. Sorry, I had to get medicine for Emily.
Andrew doesn't want to do Pleasantries.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's not Pleasantries. You can't have Pleasantries at the end of a show.
Well, but you guys do that. Like when we...
That's not Pleasantries.
What is it? Post-trees?
It's Post-trees.
Okay, well, you guys do Post-trees, like the two of you, for hours, to the point where I thought you were doing a secret podcast. Like you guys are doing like a post show where you just make fun of Jeff for an hour. That's what goes through my head.
I think that started because my computer is so shit, it takes like 12 minutes for me to export, and everybody leaves, so I'm just sitting in the channel by myself, and Gavin was like, what's going on in here? And then it just became a tradition that Gavin comes back in as I'm exporting. We have a little talk.
Yeah, I'd say every single recording we have a 5-minute. Well, apparently it's not pleasant, but it's some sort of conversation, and then I leave.
It's definitely pleasant. It's just not a pleasant tree. It's not Pleasantries.
I think that's bullshit, dude. I think it's Pleasantries.
I think it's Pleasantries too.
I don't think Pleasantries is dictated by when in the conversation it happens. I think by
definition of the spirit of the show, Pleasantries is before the podcast starts. I think we have 100+ episodes where that sets when the time is. Maybe not Pleasantries in the outside
What if those
world.
are regulation Pleasantries and what we have afterwards is deregulated Pleasantries?
Can I say something I learned recently? Not all Pleasantries are alike. You got to be very selective with your Pleasantries.
You should talk about that.
That's there are sometimes you go into meetings and Pleasantries can be disastrous.
I had a fun meeting with you guys that day.
It was a great meeting. I just I was around new people. I'm a social mess. Oh, it was awkward. I fucked it up so good.
Listening to Andrew try and have Pleasantries with two people he'd never met or spoken to before, and like trying to feel them out. It was so funny. I wish it was being recorded.
It was so awkward.
You were trying so hard. You were really pulling. You were doing all the work.
You can say a lot about me. I do try hard. That is a consistent.
I will say one thing I've learned. Outside of the context of face, where I do everything a little differently, I show up for every work-related meeting 3 minutes late, so I can avoid Pleasantries.
It's a good way to go.
It's
something I've
different. It is a different animal outside of this podcast. Pleasantries.
It is. Yes, I learned that the hard way.
What did you think of my input in?
Nick says you want me to cut that.
No. Wait, what? Oh, Jeff's thing, not my thing.
Showing up 3 minutes late, so I don't have to do Pleasantries.
No, I don't think that's a rude thing.
No, I just pretend to be coming in late from another meeting. They don't know.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you're just sat at your desk and then right before the meeting starts, or right before you join, you just run like 5 laps around your chair and you're like, whew, hey guys, sorry, I just come in hot off this other thing.
Yeah.
Every meeting you start on the phone with somebody else. Like you join the meeting and then you're just on a fake call every time.
Also, Nick is like, now they know. Here's the deal, Nick. No, they don't. No one in our company listens to this podcast. The amount of conversations I have to have where I explain the most basic shit about face to people is ludicrous. There's no way I could say anything I wanted to on this podcast, and it wouldn't matter in the context of the people that we work with, because they would never, ever, even on accident, hear it.
I've seen you explain to people at the company like what works about face, and then you'll go into a meeting a month later and explain the thing you were talking about. They'll be like, "Ooh, what's that?" It's like no one can bring themselves to delve in.
It's just like
it's a lot. It's a deep lore about nothing.
It's the face curse that it's not just the podcast; it extends to conversations and meetings too. Whereas, like, as soon as the meeting about the face thing is over, everybody else from every other department in the company, their brain toilet flushes too, and they're like, "Fucking don't need that."
I was not earlier than noon.
Technically, it was 11:59 when he jumped in on my clock.
It wasn't.
I'm just letting you know. I'm saying on my. All I'm saying is that it was on my clock. That's all.
Do we need to?
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm not
Your
saying
clock
anything's
is wrong.
I'm simply stating a fact.
It was 11:59. Well, hold on a second. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Face Podcast. Eric, what number is this?
This is 135.
Episode 135, probably. My name is Jeff Ramsey. With me, as always, Gavin Free and Andrew Panton. And Gavin, you were 1 minute early today. You've never been early in your life. Why did you decide to change things up?
I wasn't early. I joined exactly 12 o'clock.
This sounds. I'll be honest.
On my computer.
I'll be honest. You warned us about this. I think that this is some jet lag stuff for you. I think you're maybe a little like your time hasn't quite caught up.
You know what would solve this issue?
Wrong.
If we all had an anal passage of time. Sync up.
Every week, I use a perfectly synchronized GPS clock to join at exactly 12.
This is. I don't know if it's the angle that this is taken out or whatever, but it's like giving me a headache to look at it. Like,
yeah, it's because of the brightness.
Really hard to read.
I could expose lower.
Christ.
But I literally, I wait until 11:59, and then I wait probably halfway through the next second, and then I click so that as it turns to 12, I'm in the recording. And I do that every week.
I was looking at the time on my computer, waiting to see when it was going to start, and it was 11:59 when I heard you ding in.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
It was definitely close. Why would you buy that clock?
I didn't buy it. I built it.
You built it? Okay. Why?
Get a hobby.
It looks like you stole it from the world's shittiest scoreboard. Like I don't know what I'm looking at.
It's just a GPS
it says
clock
8888888888888.
All right, let me. I'm gonna.
I respect that you made it, but it's just it's the angle.
I trust
Certain
this clock even less now that I know you made it. That did not help your case at all.
No, it's a tough argument when the clock you made is wrong and arguing it's right. That's
I just put it together. I didn't like.
Well, what do you mean? No.
Well, all right. Come on now.
What does that mean?
It's like
you plugged
kit.
It into the
I
wall?
soldered it together.
Okay, that's a little bit more hands-on than I expected. It would be like the way you phrased it would be like if you built a Lego set and said, "I invented this."
The thing is,
I invented Lego Hogwarts.
You can't set it. It literally just has like an antenna for the GPS. And that's all that happens.
Well, okay, this is the problem that you're overlooking. That room is dumb. We have weeks of establishing that this room is stupid due to all the air. Your clock is dumb. It's slightly off.
That clock is breathing nothing but CO2, right?
That's very possible.
I want to say that the second picture that you sent, great. You can read it perfectly. I agree.
Yeah.
Before it looked like the worst scoreboard. Now it's great. I also want to say that with Gavin saying, I built a clock and seeing this, it all makes sense to me and I get it. If this were flipped and Andrew was saying, I built a clock, I don't know where this episode would go or what we would be doing, but time would just be like a construct. We would be like drilling down into like Tenet-style situations that would not be good.
I don't think it would be tough to build. Well, what type of clock are we talking?
One
Like
that's
a
apparently
sundial?
a cut by 10 seconds too fast.
Yeah, I could do that. I could build a clock that incorrectly told time, no problem.
I mean, look, here's what we could do. I can take a picture of the clock the second I press stop, right?
Yeah.
We can take the length of the audio clip and deduct it from the current time to see when I joined.
I checked out 3 words into the sentence. I don't care nearly enough about whatever.
Yeah, you do.
I'm sure you're right. I'd rather just say you're right, and then we can move on.
Please do that, and then explain it in some way that makes us not trust that you're right, and then we can move on.
Okay. I'm definitely going to forget to do that.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, this is episode 139. You begin whenever you like.
That was a great intro by Eric. I believe we did label him the official introer earlier. Or late at the tail end of last year or early this year. I'm not sure when.
No, it
anyway,
happened.
So there you have it. That was Eric. He mentioned this is episode 139 of the Face Podcast. My name is Jeff. With me as always, Andrew and Gavin.
I feel like I wronged Andrew yesterday.
Ooh.
Are you feeling wronged?
It's it's funny. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I did ask a hypothetical to both Jeff and Eric before the show started to see where they fell on.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Gavin.
It was Gavin. It was absolutely Gavin.
That might have
asked
affected
Jeff-
my answer.
I asked Jeff and Eric before, Pleasantries, Gavin, that you're never there for, and I expected you not to be there. Much like I should have expected you not to show up last night when I organized. Gavin and I were talking about, because we were doing trials like recently, right? He beat the time. We did that little bet. So I just texted him, feels like a Warzone Wednesday to me. And he said, absolutely.
And the sucky thing about that is you text me that at like noon. It might have been even earlier. And I just spent the rest of the afternoon so excited for Warzone Wednesday. I was like, oh, man. I'm not usually one who looks forward to the evenings, but I was like, oh, I can't wait for later. It's going to be brilliant.
Well, you say that. You said, absolutely, when do you want to do it? I said, what about this time? No reply.
I said, what time do we start? And then you immediately replied with the time.
Yeah, I gave you time. And I asked it as a question.
Yeah.
I was like, does this work for you? You never got back to it. That's fine. You've never missed? You've never missed a gaming thing that we've said? Once there was a time and place, you've always been there. So I assumed you would be. Waited about 20 minutes. Texted to ask if we're rescheduling. You said, oh, fuck. What about later in the evening? I didn't feel like playing later. We're probably going to play for like an hour. I just didn't have it in me. I thought I was tired. So we've rescheduled to today. But what I was asking Jeff and Eric was, were you late for that? Because I asked you a time, and you never responded to that request. It was a question. And since you didn't lock in, I wasn't sure if you were late or not, or if it just technically wasn't scheduled.
I've done a dumb thing, which I thought was an amazing hack. I did this about a year ago. I made a shortcut on my iPhone that puts my phone into Do Not Disturb anytime it's on charge. And I figure that way I don't have to manually set it for a time. Anytime it's getting juice, I assume it's in the night and I'm charging and I don't want anything. But yeah, I forgot to charge my phone the night before. And I was doing a midday charge, which had the interesting side effect of basically silencing my phone and my watch and everything for the entire day. So it's a flawed system. And then when you were just like, reschedule, I was like, oh, shit. Like I missed the time. I missed, like, I just forgot.
You did, but I didn't know.
I didn't know what time I was being late for, and I'd already been late for it.
But you weren't. According to Jeff and Eric, you were clear. You were not late. It was never finalized.
Jeff and Eric, would you like to change your answer based on the knowledge that it is me?
Would I like to change my answer? 100%. Do I think I can? Morally, no. I still think you're not late. Unfortunately, if it were anybody who were late in this scenario, I would like it to be put on the record that it should be you. But no, I think you're in the clear here, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
thanks.
even like knowing it's you, I still wouldn't change my answer. I just don't think that you're absolved of all responsibility in that situation. You never said yes.
I do find it fucking,
but I am very sorry.
Weird. I've known you for more than half your life now. I've known you probably 20 years, Gavin, or close to it. And you're worse at communicating and being on time and making shit and just general correspondence than you've ever been in your life. And you are in a house of technological wonders. You have a goddamn clock you built just to show up at this podcast on time. You have 700,000 phones and devices to notify you things, and somehow you're at an all-time low. I do think you might want to take a step back and evaluate what you're doing wrong.
Well, it's interesting coming from the person I texted yesterday who didn't reply to me.
Ooh.
Did you text me yesterday?
Ooh.
Well, hold on. I'm not the one on trial here, but let me see. Oh, you texted me last night at 8:43 p.m. I was in the movies when I received the text. And then after the movie was over, I just went straight to bed. So I haven't even had a chance to watch it yet. I'm sorry. On a slightly lighter note, Gavin and I hung out this morning. We started a new thing.
Pleasantries.
Oh, now I'm hurt.
We have we just started a little coffee club.
We got coffee at like 9 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Congrats. You guys have been friends for like 20 years.
We would have invited
you and coffee this morning together.
You live in Canada.
I've never heard Andrew say "fuck you," but I think he just did.
Well, no, I just like I'm happy for you guys, but you guys are best friends. You've known each other for 20 years. Oh, look at how zany we are. We're getting coffee in the morning.
Dude, I just made a So All Right podcast about how little I spend time with Gavin. We just got lunch together, Gavin and Eric and I realized it was the first time I'd gotten lunch with Gavin in 6 years. So getting coffee with Gavin is also a big fucking deal to me.
I loved it. It was a bit loud in there, though. My back was to the checkout, and I...
Of course you did. You guys are best friends. Why wouldn't you love it? What are you talking about?
He calls his best friends like it's an insult.
This is the best.
Like there's venom behind it.
You're like, oh, we had coffee together. Crazy. You know, I got together with one of my closest friends, and I don't know if you'll believe it. We had a good time. Who could have predicted?
I didn't think you'd believe it. I just said on a lighter note, it was nice to get coffee with Gavin.
It is a lighter note. I'll give you that. That is correct. I'm happy. How was the coffee? Was it good? Real fucking thrilling. You have a decaf?
It was just better than Columbine, all right?
It was. I'd hope so.
There was zero talk about strangling you all coffee long, I promise.
That's great. I support this. More coffee is what I say. I'll just you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy to. Did you guys have coffee today? Was that able to have?
No.
No, we decided never to do that again after you.
No.
Yeah. I think they got really hurt by being attacked for getting the coffee.
The store actually closed down as well.
No.
No. We haven't. But Gavin was out of town. He was playing with trampolines or something.
Yeah, he was doing stuff. Jeff, you recorded an episode So All Right that was very vulnerable, very nice. I'd recommend people listen to it. And I'm happy you guys are getting coffee. I hope you continue to get coffee. I hope my one day of sass has not chased away any potential coffee yet. Before
Here's what I hope. I hope that we don't get coffee for another 6 years, because then I get to do another episode. That's a free episode for me 6 years from now.
That's true.
Yeah.